All right, welcome back. This is day 4 of my journey towards lucid dreaming. If you're new here, basically I'm just returning to my lucid dreaming practice and sharing it here with you. So I just thought I'd read some of my journal entries. It's always interesting looking back at the first one because usually I don't even remember it. And they're usually pretty short, so that's exactly what this one is. It just says, dream of being at a mall with some friends filming a funny video. And that's it. After that, it gets pretty interesting. I had trouble falling asleep. I was up for maybe at least a good hour and a half. And I got frustrated enough that I had to take some melatonin, which actually helped. So I started to feel sleepy, and then I started to experience that hypnopompic imagery. So that's where you're basically going from wakefulness to the sleep state, and just in that transitory state, start seeing these images. Very similar to the hypnopompic state, which I kind of referred to in the last video. Okay, so basically the way I can kind of describe it to you is I'm just seeing darkness, and then I'm not trying to force to see anything, it's coming to me. So just pure darkness, and then boom, an image or just this scene appears, and then it disappears. And then there's just darkness. And then, oh, here's a dream scene, and then bam, it disappears and back to darkness. And it was going like that on and off for a little while. And it was just interesting. The imagery, though, it was not very super like sharp or vivid or clear. That I will say. The thing that was very like clear, though, was the sound, the noise. And I can't fully remember it. I don't know if it was all when the dream scene occurred, or if it was also when I saw darkness, or it was a combination. But anytime I heard a sound or a word or a phrase, it was like very distinct and loud and like sharp and clear. And that's kind of new to me. Not that I've experienced that in the past. So it was like very noticeable and stood out during that experience. I don't know if I started to fall asleep, but basically I eventually found myself outside the house that I grew up in. Which is common for me in a lot of my dreams. I'll end up being outside my house or inside. That's pretty normal for me. So it happened again. So I'm outside the house, but the interesting thing is I'm just frozen. Like I am stuck. I can't move, do nothing. I remember having the thought of like, trying to communicate with someone that was in the house. I didn't see anybody. I don't know if I was just like, oh, maybe someone's in the house. I'll try to talk to them. And I don't know what happened. I must have just surrendered or finally just let go. And I got unstuck, and I started to float or levitate. And I started to move as well. It wasn't necessarily like flying like Superman, that kind of thing. It was just this kind of like, hey, I'm floating and moving in a direction. And I didn't have control over the direction I was going. The only thing I really had control over was just where I could look. And so I'm starting to move towards the front of the yard, and shifting my attention to looking at the front of the house. And I don't know why this came to my mind. It was I just said high definition. And as I said high definition, I noticed not so much the vividness, but just like the sharpness. If you ever were editing a picture in an image editing software, if I could talk here, and you just increase the sharpness. That's what happened in this dream scene. I just remember like, wow, things got a little clear, a little sharper. I was like, oh, okay, that actually worked. I'm not sure why that came to my mind, but that was the intention, and it actually worked. And then I started to move in a different direction towards the front of the yard more, and I was looking that way now, away from the house. And again, it just kind of came to me. It wasn't like I was sitting there kind of like thinking of like, oh, what's next? It just immediately came to me. It was like just lightning fast. It was just spawn my father. and just spawning my father as a dream character. And spawning, I mean, it's like kind of create or manifest right there. In past dreams, I've experienced where I held out my hand and I manifested an apple, and I got to watch nothing be there, and it slowly manifests all the way down to actually seeing an apple completely in the palm of my hand, which is pretty cool. So I think I was trying to do the same thing with a person, in this case, my father as a dream character, but he didn't appear. I just ended up waking up, and that was the end of that particular dream and experience. So that was pretty interesting. And then I'm just kind of reading the next entry here. So I was experiencing more of that hypnagogic imagery again. I think it was very similar where, darkness, there's a scene, back to darkness, and kind of going back and forth with that. And then another dream, it's funny enough, it was at my parents' house again. This time it wasn't outside, it was actually inside. And I remember I was in my parents' living room, and I just remember going, oh, nobody's in here. And I'm kind of walking through, and then I kind of enter the kitchen/den space, and I also realize, oh, no one's in here as well. And I walked towards the window where I could kind of see the driveway, and the thought that ran through my mind was, oh, I'm out of my body. And once I had that kind of notion come to mind, I started to put my hand through the window, and it didn't hurt, but it felt a little weird. It felt kind of cool, actually, as it always does usually for me. And I'm putting my hand through the window, and I'm looking out the driveway, and I think I remember seeing like a couple cars maybe, but I didn't make it through the actual whole window with my dream body, so to speak. And then the dream just ended at that point. But I thought that was pretty cool. The dream where I was outside and where I was stuck and then finally moving, I don't really recall being a moment where I was like, oh yeah, I'm aware that I'm dreaming. Like I didn't really have that particular moment. It felt like a lucid dream, like lucid dreams I've had in the past, but there was no moment in that particular dream where I was like, oh yeah, hey, I'm dreaming. I just definitely had more sense of awareness in that dream for sure. And then this particular one, it was interesting just to kind of have that notion in mind of, hey, I'm out of my body. And then immediately it was just like, yeah, let's walk through the window. So things are getting pretty interesting. So this is only day 4 for me. And I think things are getting easier this time around just because I've practiced this before. Whereas it took me longer to have these type of experiences the first time around when I was practicing this. But you can kind of tell from just day 1 of like, oh, okay, not really remembering much of my dreams. If I remember anything, maybe 1, but majority of the time, not a lot. And just setting the intention, your intentions are very powerful. Just, hey, I want to remember my dreams. I want to have lucid dreams. And then in addition to that, the dream journaling and doing performing those reality checks, I think are important. So it's working. I'll share a couple more entries. They weren't as exciting, but why not? Had a dream of being in a classroom and my stuff was in the back corner of a room, which included a bike. I felt bad for taking up so much space, apparently. It's always nice you get to feel guilt in your dreams as well. The teacher was yelling at a student, and apparently the student was drooling on himself. I remember that part. Watch, there's someone at home is going to be analyzing my dreams here. What does that mean about me? Student in the classroom drooling on himself. All right, last one here. I dreamt of walking around with a guy down a hallway which led us into a room, and there was a bunch of people who looked like college students hanging out. And I think I recall saying to the guy next to me that was walking with me originally, and just saying like, oh yeah, they reminded of us when we were younger. And that was it. So you could tell like some dreams are short and don't remember a lot. Other ones you remember more. But yeah, the biggest difference here with this one is my awareness is increasing in my dream state, and also having the hypnagogic imagery. So that's now I've experienced the hypnagogic and hypnopompic imagery. So we'll see how things kind of unfold after this, but I'm excited to see what happens. Again, if you have any experiences, even if there's something really small or like you've had a lucid dream or you're able to recall dreams now, feel free to comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.